So we thought we'd do a unique show today, talking about our favorite TV shows. These are strange times for many of us, with no movies, no sports, and restaurants. Most of the restaurants being closed. Many of us have to struggle where to get our entertainment. So I reached out to a friend and asked him to join me and discuss recommendations for the top 10 shows that you should look into. The person we have today is Bishop. Bishop, say hello to
Well,
everybody.
hello, everybody.
Certainly, everybody wants to know what qualifies you to talk about TV shows.
Well, as a kid, from 8 years old, I have been nothing but a movie buff and a TV buff. I've always found myself hiding in the TV shows away from everybody else and just being alone and just finding the wonders of TV and books. So that's what qualifies me is I've been doing this for a long time and I have been made fun of as an adult because I will sometimes go to movies by myself, and my friends cannot understand why I do that. And it's to get away from y'all.
It's okay. I have almost the same identical background, and yes, I do go to movies. I do go to movies by myself, and I'm okay with that. So, yeah, I'm in it for the entertainment, and sometimes I just want to see a good movie.
Yep.
Or a bad one, but I just want to be entertained.
Just want to be entertained and be lost in the shuffle.
So what we're going to do is we're going to bounce back and forth between his and mine. So first up on my list is The Boys. This is on Amazon Prime. It's a story about a group of vigilantes set out to take down corrupt superheroes who abuse their superpowers. Stars Carl Urban, Jack Quaid, Anthony Starr, just to name a few. Personal take is if you like superheroes and want something a little on the dark side, this is definitely for you. I've watched it twice, and it didn't disappoint either time. Season 1 was last year, and Season 2 starts this month. But this is a show that I really think you don't want to miss. Bishop, did you watch it at all? What's your take on it?
I saw the first season, and I did like it. But I didn't like it enough to watch the season over. I am waiting for the second season to come out. I like how they built the plot and went through the storytelling in the first season. Sometimes when you're looking at a brand new season, they take too long to build the characters. This got right into action, and in that I found myself following it a little bit better with the flashbacks of the building of the characters, and then it had the plot twists that kept my interest. So I did like it, but I didn't like it enough to go back and keep watching it. I will probably go back and watch the last episode going into season 2. But I wouldn't watch the entire season again to go into season 2. No.
Stuff is on your list. What do you got?
First up on my list is Jack Ryan, and that is a show that's coming out of Amazon Prime. This show is based off the Tom Clancy novel Jack Ryan. The show actually picks up as Jack has gotten out of the military and has joined the CIA and trying to become something in the CIA. And it picks up with him tracking an account, and it goes from there where the account is linked to terrorists. And he's just an analyst, but because of his Marine background, his boss throws him into the fray. And you can see how his Marine background helps him get through certain scenarios. The story building in this went right into the action, which is what I like. I don't like a lot of building of the characters and whatnot. I like to get right into it in the first season because you don't want to lose interest of the season. I like to see the second season build a little bit more of character building because you're used to the people and the characters in the first season. But this went right into it. If you're familiar with the books, everybody knows Tom Clancy is a very action-packed writer, follows the military very, very closely. So I really enjoyed this series because of the writing. I think they follow with the novel very well. What did you think? Or have you seen it?
Well, I've always loved Tom Clancy movies. I love espionage and political thrillers. I watched the first season. I really enjoyed it. Second season, I really enjoyed as well. I don't think it really missed a beat for me. I think it had pretty good character development overall. Just had good pacing. It had a good story. It didn't get old. It wasn't season two wasn't season one with a new skin. It was it had a progression. This is the one that almost made my list of 5 that I brought to the table. Next up for me is The Expanse, also on Amazon. I stumbled upon this show almost by accident. It was on Sci-Fi Channel at the time. I think the first 3 seasons were, and then it migrated over to Amazon. But it's a sci-fi mystery drama about interplanetary politics, a virus, and a mash of characters that come together to sort out the problems of the universe. Now, that's simplifying it. It's a very intelligent show, so you have to really pay attention to what's going on. You can't passively watch it at all. I think they did a good job on character development and kind of leaving you building with each season and unraveling the characters for you. It has mostly a relatively unknown cast, at least to me. I think if you love sci-fi, you'll love this. Like I said, it was a little confusing the first season and my first time watching it, but I've seen it like 2 or 3 times because it's so good. This is a damn good show, and I think one of the things that interests me so much is the realism factor. Because if I think about our future and going out in space and colonizing Mars and mining ore on asteroids and stuff like that, what would the geopolitics be and develop? And it's it's just another view of a future that may or may not take place, and it's always fun to see the what if. Did you watch this at all?
I did, and I'm with you in the beginning. It took me a while, or it threw me off. The characters threw me off. I couldn't really get into the characters because there were so many of them. I do know that this is based off the book series, but I thought it went far in plot lines. There was just so much going on that I couldn't keep up. I'm with you as in it's a very intelligent show, but I just couldn't keep up with it. And because I didn't like some of the characters in it, I stopped watching it
Right.
after the first season. I might, because I'm thinking of you. I might give it another chance because you're saying that is a show to get back in to watch. So I might take a shot at the second season, but the first season lost me, and I just didn't have the interest in going to the second season with this one.
So it has a mix of politics, sci-fi, drama, intrigue. Season 1 is a little on the dry side because you're right. There's so many characters. If you make it through season 2 and you like it, you'll be hooked. If you don't, then I would say don't bother with the rest of it. But it is a good show. It's a very intelligent show, and it's got a lot of great action.
It has a great following. I'm seeing because it adds 4 seasons now.
Yep.
So there's a following to it. Okay, my next show is an older show. 2007 is when they came out with this show. It originally aired on Showtime. The show is called The Tutors, and The Tutors is a historical show that takes us back to England during the time of King Henry. Jonathan Myers is the star of the show. He plays King Henry VIII, and it follows his life and his reign over England for about 40 years. Interesting fact about King Henry is that, a lot of things that people like about King Henry or like to follow about him is because of his wives. He had about 8 wives, and in there, 2 of his wives' heads got cut off. So the story is very interesting as into, how his wives acted with him and how he reacted with them and how they helped change the course of England. King Henry VIII broke away from the church and started the Church of England. It goes into why he did that, which is a very interesting story, is why he did that. The Pope wouldn't grant him a divorce, and because the Pope wouldn't grant him divorce, him being king, he said, okay, I'll start my own church. So, but I am a fan of the time period, and they have brilliant costumes, great settings. You fall in love with the characters, even the bad guys you fall in love with. And I do like Jonathan. He did move on and did a couple of later seasons of the Vikings, and he was brilliant in that. I've seen him in a couple of movies that he's brilliant in. This is a guy that I look forward to seeing what he's going to be doing next. But this show, it went on for about 4 seasons on Showtime, and then it moved to Netflix. And ever since it moved to Netflix, I think I've watched this show because of the time period that I love so much. I think I've watched this show 5 to 7 times all the way through. I can just sit down, and it's one of those Game of Thrones where you can just sit down, put on any episode, and follow it for a couple of episodes before you're ready to go to bed. So this was what did you think? Did you see the show?
Well, I actually didn't, but my wife did. I did watch a couple episodes, and it was intriguing. I just didn't have any time at the time, so I never really picked it up. And this is one that just kind of got by me. I heard a lot about it.
I tell you what,
I am like you. I'm a history fan, so I do like period pieces. As we'll get to one of mine here, and not too long. One of my favorite movies is The Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh,
which
yes.
takes place in France. So I would watch it if I had the time. I just haven't made the time for it. So,
well, let me tell you, if you do find the time, start from the beginning, and
right.
Have your wife sit with you. She'll catch shit. If she's seen it, I know she's a fan because Jonathan is a good-looking guy, and I know the women go crazy over him. My wife loves the show herself. So if you do get the time, make sure you see it with your wife, and she'll keep you updated and help you follow the show.
A friend from work turned me onto this, and I missed it when it came out, but not by too much. But it's called Love, Death, and Robots. It's on Netflix. It's created by Tim Miller, and it's a series of animated short stories that span various genres, including science fiction, fantasy, horror, and comedy. You know what? This is fantastic. This is a fantastic series. Very intelligently written. It's adult themed. Each one's a different story with a different animation style. So it's kind of like you can plop one in and watch it. It's kind of like a filler. Overall, I liked all of them. I certainly had my favorites. Season 1 is great, and they're making season 2 now, and I think that'll be out later this year. So, did you watch this at all?
I saw a few episodes, and it reminded me of the Netflix show Black Mirror. And as I watched a few more episodes, it kind of gave me the Twilight twist on it. So because it reminded me so much of Black Mirror, I like Black Mirror more because it's more modern than and it was more realistic. The Black Mirror was compared to this one. This just went into animation on one of them, and it's like I just couldn't get I couldn't stay with it because I had the Twilight and the Black Mirror in the back of my mind. I just couldn't stick with this one. So for this one, I'm not gonna not recommend it. But if you're a fan of Black Mirror or the Twilight Zone, even the new Twilight Zone, I'm pretty sure you'll get into this one if you like a little bit more of a horror twist. What I have next is Money Heist, and that's on Netflix. Now, Money Heist is a Spanish crime drama. It takes you over to Europe where they're doing a money heist, but it's so much more than it. It takes you through the heist. It gives you story building characters. There's not really a lot that I want to say a lot about it, but because it's so many, the twist in it is so good, and you
don't want to give anything away.
I don't want to give anything away other than say that it's not what you think it is, but it is what you're thinking. Does that make sense? It's not what you think it is, but it is what you're thinking. And I loved it. I did. I loved it. My wife didn't like it. She couldn't get past the second episode, but I did. I liked it. And I can't really get into it because I will give stuff away if you got into it. But there were some twists in there and some change in behavior, and it was a good show. I did like it. And did you see it?
I did not, but listening to you describe it, I'll probably give it a look-see.
You should give it a look. It's definitely one definitely look at. And if you do watch it, you'll see what I'm saying when I can't give you any real description of what's going on in it because it'll give it away. But it's good.
All right. Here's my history piece of The Outlander on Stars. English combat nurse from 1945 is mysteriously swept back in time to 1743. It's in its fifth season, and it's a show I watch with my wife. The show has a unique look at the 1700s and how history's changed over the 200 years. It's a time-crossed love affair that starts in Scotland and moves to early colonial America. It addresses a lot of historical and adult themes and has excellent character development, in my opinion. So, they go from everything from the Scottish Wars in Britain to the Jacobites, and then they go to Paris. They deal with a lot of adult themes like rape, marriage. You think about all the different things that had happened in the 1700s. It's really an interesting time period. So, if you're kind of interested at all, I would definitely give season one a watch. If it doesn't grab you, then I wouldn't bother with the rest, because season one is by far the best. I think all of them are good, but season one is absolutely the best.
I did not watch this one. I tried to watch it. I could not. When I watch a timepiece, show, movie, or whatnot, I do not want to. I can't get the grasp of she touched a stone and it took her back in time. I couldn't. I just couldn't get past that particular part of it. And if you're gonna do a whole fantasy series, that's different. But if you're gonna do an actual timepiece, not a time period show or movie, don't add that element to it. And because they were jumping all over the place with it, and I'm trying to look at the show as being realistic, I couldn't. It didn't wrap my attention. So I saw a few episodes here and there. As I saw it on Showtime, it caught my interest, and then I remembered, oh, this is that Outlander show. The lady is not even from that time period, and so it lost my attention. So this show I could not get into, just because when I want to see a timepiece show or movie, I want to see that particular. I want to see the realistic drama. I want to see the realist of it, instead of trying to wonder.
Well, I kind of like the contrast between somebody that's from the future coming into the past, and what the shock, the culture shock would be like. Like if you and I went back in time right now, the way that we speak isn't even the same way that they spoke. So
exactly,
it's still English, but it's lots of different words and phrases and enunciation.
I felt she was too comfortable
and stuff
being
like
back.
that. I mean,
I felt she was too comfortable being 100 years back from where she was.
Yeah. All right, you're up. What do you got?
My next one, called Little Fires Everywhere, and this stars Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington, and it's on Hulu. And this came across my desk by my mom. My mom told me to watch this show. She knows I like dramas. I love Reese Witherspoon. I like the show Scandal, where Kerry Washington just left. And the two together, the show's amazing. My wife watched it before I watched it. And then she watched it again when I watched it. And I did like the show. It's written very well. It's about a middle-class housewife in the suburbs trying to find herself and relate with her kids. And she takes in a so-called stranger who she thought was homeless, but there's a twist into how Kerry Washington joins their life. So in this, Reese Witherspoon, being the suburban housewife, is really having a hard time trying to connect with this woman. She feels like she needs to connect with this woman because of they're kind of both in the same class. And when Reese Witherspoon figures that out, it goes left, because by that time she loses control of her family. And so with that loss of control of her family, it just spills out a bunch of emotions for everybody. It's very interesting drama, but because of the acting in it, you do fall in love with the characters. Reese Witherspoon, some people would say she's a bad guy in this, although she wants to be the good guy in it. she turns out to be the bad guy, but you still feel for her because of her acting in this. You kind of can say, oh, it's just take it one more day. You root for her, but in the end, she has not kept it together like she had planned. She's one of those planners, and it just goes to the left for her. And for Kerry Washington's character, she finds herself connecting with her daughter as well, and they both are trying to be the best mom they could be, but end up being the best mom to each other's kids instead of their own. And with that, it's something that if you want to spend time with the wife, this will be a good show to spend time with the wife.
Okay.
Put down the laptop or whatever and just sit there, and you can veg out and watch two very attractive women go at each other. So, and your wife not be mad about it because she is in love with the show too. So this is a show for couples, married couples, and I highly recommend it. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it, but I will definitely put it down and give one a watch. It sounds intriguing, and my wife and I are always looking for shows to watch together because we kind of like different kinds of stuff. So
definitely a show to watch together.
Last up for me is Cobra Kai. Now, if you remember back in the 80s, there's Karate Kid movies, and this is years later. So this is them with their kids, and the feud's still going on, and it started out on on YouTube Red, and then it's just recently moved over to Netflix, so you can see all the seasons on Netflix. Decades after their final battle in the Karate Kid.
Okay.
They're middle aged now, and they find themselves with different martial arts studios. It stars Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, so it stars the original actors from the Karate Kid movie. My take on it is this is an example of how you continue an old IP, and there's been a lot of shows and a lot of movies where they've, like Ghostbusters 2016 or something like that, where they continued something on, but they didn't stay true to the original source material.
Mm-hmm.
This stays true to the source material, but does a good job of expanding the story and characters and stuff like that, and brings you up to speed because you're not just tuning in for the original characters that you saw in the movie. You slowly are turning in because of their kids. So I think the character development in the show is excellent. It's got a real strong fan following. Yeah, I think the other thing that you'll see when you watch this is you're thinking that Ralph Macchio's the good guy and the other guy, the blind kid's the bad guy. It's very unclear who the good guy and bad guy is. You'll find yourself kind of rooting for and despising both of them. It's kind of a fun show at the same time, so I would definitely give it a look. Did you see this at all?
I did not. I heard about it, but I had no interest in it because of the 21 movies of of Karate Kid. They made like 21 Karate Kid movies. So I wanted to leave Daniel in the past. So I did not watch this one because of the 21 movies that they made for Karate Kid. And then the spinoff that Will Smith made for his son, was it Jackie Chan, was in it, and so I did not want to go back to that again. So no, I did not see this one. I might, on a rainy day or something, if I'm not doing something on a Sunday, I might check out an episode or two to see if it piques my interest. But I did not have an interest in watching this one because of the 101 movies that they've made of Karate Kid.
So what do you got for your last one?
A surprise. It was a surprise to me as well. It's a new one that's on Netflix that came out called Space Force, and this interested me because they actually took the idea from President Trump, who has started the United States Space Force, And they have made a TV series on Netflix called Space Force. And it is starring Steve Carell and John Malkovich. So
Oh, really?
Steve
Yeah.
Carell has been promoted to a 4-star general, and John Malkovich is his leading scientist for the Space Force. So they are put at the hip together to create a Space Force for the president. They never name the president, but they do wacky stuff or talk about wacky stuff. Like one incident, they had it where it was the president's birthday. He was upset that Russia did something on his birthday, and he wanted the Space Force to do something so it to show that his birthday was important. And so they had a whole episode of trying to do something for the president's birthday, so he wouldn't be upset with them. So the first 2 episodes you got to push through because you're trying to find the tempo of the show. But once you get past the first 2 episodes, you start to like the characters. John Malkovich, he's an awesome actor, and he brings that to the show. He's the Dean Martin to Jerry Lewis in this, where he's the straight guy.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to keep a scientific mind as he deals with a bumbling idiot who just turned general and shouldn't be there in the first place. Steve Carell. But Steve Carell has a heart of gold. He's trying to do the right thing. He's just trying to do his job. And he's bringing his military knowledge to something that they have to create together. And they both play off each other very well. They had an episode where they had to do a drill against the Air Force. The Air Force was trying to take over the Space Force before they separated it. And so the Air Force is trying to prove that the Space Force team shouldn't have it. It should be under the Air Force. And so they do these military drills, and they have sort of like a paintball competition. Well, it's like a laser tag competition. And in that, Malkovich and Steve Carell find a unity to work together. After that, the show gets a little bit better because you start to understand the 2 characters and what they're looking for. It's very funny. It's the Steve Carell Office funny, dry in some. It's a comedy. It was a surprise to me. I ended up binge watching it and enjoyed it. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. I've seen the thumbnail when I look through Netflix.
You should watch it if you want to. If you had some time to just space out and need a laugh, get you laughing.
I will definitely give it a look. So there is a lot of good stuff out there. I'm kind of sorry with the pandemic and stuff that the schedule of things got kind of slowed up because, even though some things were filmed, they retakes and polishing and stuff had to still be done. So there's a lot of things got moved back. So you're kind of left with things that were already completed, a few things that were already completed, and then you've got older stuff. So I thought it would be fun just to kind of get together and see what we're watching that people might want to jump into. You turned me on to at least a couple, so I'm going to give them a look. But thanks for joining me. I thought this was kind of fun. So
yes, sir. Thank you for having me on. Hopefully we can do a couple more episodes.
So I would like to thank everybody for showing up and bearing with us. I hope you learned something and maybe took a couple of notes and maybe want to watch a couple of shows. If you like this, like and subscribe. Certainly down below, put some of your own suggestions up there. I know a lot of people come through the comments, and if there's a hidden find out there, I know I would like to find it. But pass it on for sure. Anything else, Bishop?
Oh, I'm good.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you very much, everybody.